Hello everyone, my name is Kelsey Beth and I am an entrepreneur and a teacher and most of all a human, and today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about how I came to the practice of mindfulness and what are some of the mindful habits I currently have and integrate into my daily life. And so this is my Meet the Mindful video. So I was introduced to mindfulness, or the practice of sitting in stillness and having a focused awareness on the present moment, through yoga. And I started practicing yoga about 15 to 17 years ago. And that was because at the time I was feeling really depressed and anxious and had a very negative self-body image, which led to a lot of layered feelings and thoughts which I didn't know how to deal with. And luckily at the time, yoga was just beginning in the town that I grew up in. And so I learned how to kind of unveil these thoughts, and I had a place to process the emotion through yoga. And through yoga, I also was introduced to the practice of mindfulness or meditation. But at that time, mindfulness kind of really wasn't in my vocabulary. And it had been weaving, I guess I would say mindfulness had been weaving in and out and kind of around my experience the last 15 years. However, it wasn't about until 4 or 5 years ago that I began to take the practice really seriously, I would say, or began to embody it and make it a part of my being and my daily life. And that kind of switch occurred because I was teaching in an inner city school in Chicago, and I had really been affected by the traumas and the negative thoughts and feelings of my students. So I decided to do a little project where I practiced teaching mindfulness to my class about 2 or 3 times a day for 5 to 10 minutes a day. And the results were pretty amazing. Not only did I see huge changes in my students' awareness and behavior and empathy, and the list goes on, but also I began to really integrate the practice into my life. And I guess that's because I kind of feel like as a teacher, what I say I have to do too. So it kind of pushed me to that point, or gave me a little push to lead me to the point of, embodying mindfulness, or a mindful way of being, a mindful life. And so that has kind of led me up to today, where I teach mindfulness to kids specifically and teenagers through online courses and in-person experiences and events. And some of the mindful habits that I have found really beneficial for myself in my practice, in my life, and my experience, has been, first, starting the day on a very mindful note. So that can be kind of attuned to whatever feels good for you, like whatever is right for you. But for me, that has been doing some sort of type of mindful movement, so movement with awareness and breath, and followed by a stillness practice. So sitting in stillness anywhere from 1 minute to an hour, just focusing on the sounds and the sensory emotions, or focusing on the senses. And so doing that, having an awareness, a non-judgmental awareness on my thoughts as well. So those are 2 things that I really, really love to integrate into my day, is mindful movement and stillness. And then, like I tell my clients, I think that mindfulness can kind of be inserted to any activity. So it doesn't have to be sitting in silence and being quiet and listening to your thoughts, although these are really, really beneficial and can benefit anyone, especially kids, I would say. But mindfulness can also be brought to any activity. So For instance, another mindful habit I try to integrate in my day is mindful walking, is just taking a walk during the day with the intention of just really being in the present. So noticing the sights and the sounds and what's around me, while also noticing what's coming up for me in terms of thoughts and feelings. And just placing my attention on what is happening. And that sort of focused attention that I think is pretty much what defines mindfulness and has huge benefits in terms of our brain's health, but also our mood and our emotions. Another type of mindful habit that I currently have is practicing mindfulness skills with children. So I spend a large portion of my day teaching kids and teens what mindfulness is and how to practice it. And so we do a lot of mindfulness activities, mostly through the computer, during my day. So these are things like listening to sounds, really tuning into our sense of hearing and just listening to sounds for the point of listening. Or mindful seeing, so noticing what's around us. Another mindfulness habit or activity that we do together is loving kindness. So sending ourselves and others loving and kind thoughts, all the while having an attention or awareness on what our experience is. So having this kind of metacognition, thinking about our thinking. And I think this is really beneficial for kids and teens and actually any person, because it gives us the space to, first of all, process all the stimuli that we're receiving, but also reflect on what our experience actually is and how we feel about it. So I think that's about all I have to share with you today. And thank you all so much for listening. And thank you, Live Fully Now, for having me on the Meet the Mindful show. Much love to everyone.